is Russ. Yeah, time to talk e-bikes again. Yeah, somebody actually asked me, how come there's no e-bike videos? Yeah, we've had a couple already. So there you go. Yeah, just look for the title that says e-bike with an exclamation point, and then the name of the title. Yeah, so that's how you know. Anyway, a couple of things to tell you guys. First off, let's get some basic things out of the way first. I mentioned on the last video, e-bike video that is, that I had a couple of Hollywood racks available for sale. Yeah, and I said I'd probably be able to ship that to you. Yeah, actually I can ship it to you, but that shipping costs us an arm and a leg. Yeah, we checked it out, had somebody interested in it, but when he found out how much the shipping was, he says, forget it. I don't blame him. I wouldn't do it either. Yeah, it wasn't going that far. It was only going like 2 states away from me. And I'm in the Illinois area. And it was like over $142. Forget it. That's way too much. By the time I discount the product, adding back the shipping just kind of took away all the discount from the product. So forget it. Yeah, these are the Hollywood, I think they're called the sports rider racks. You can see it on the Rad Power Bikes website. If you go to their accessories area where it says vehicle racks, you'll see it there. It cost something like $529.99, something like that. And then it cost me 10% for sales tax. Okay, so that was another $53. And then I think Rad charged like $40 for the shipping, which was actually a really good deal because my shipping, even just to a couple of states away, was $142. Yeah, they must get some type of special deal as a company shipping lots of heavy products out or something. But I can't go through FedEx because FedEx has a 50-pound limit for me. But UPS would take it. But UPS, well, it's like $142 something. And it would probably be more if you were out in California. So I think we're going to have to retract all this. We're going to have to say, if you want those Hollywood racks, go to the russisright.com website. Okay, I have them for $350. Okay. But I'd rather you come pick it up. Yeah, so local guys or people willing to come to the northwest suburbs of Chicago, all right, come and get them for $350. Because if you were to buy it from Rad, it would cost you over $600 something. So $350 each. I've got 2 of them. And then they have, if you have a step-through design bike, you're going to need these special bars that go across. It connects from like your handlebar, or your stem, I should say, your handlebar stem to your seat post. Yeah, and those will be priced in there too. I haven't gotten an exact price on those, but it'll be about that same range, around 45% off of the retail price of it, something like that. So if you need those, I've got 4 of those as well. Okay, so 2 racks and 4 of those bars if you need them. Okay. Come and get them. Don't ship it. The shipping is just too expensive. Yeah. I mean, it's possible to be shipped, but it's just too expensive. Imagine what it would be if I had to ship a bike. Like if you wanted to buy one of my bikes, think about that. If the rack at 60, it was 64.1 pounds. If the rack, which is a compact size, is first off, because it's not built, and then it's 64 pounds, it's that much money. How much would it cost for me to ship a bike? Think about that. That's why everything has to be picked up from me, okay? And one more thing too, if you want one of the bikes that are on the Russ is Right website, and you want the rack as well, I'll give you a special deal on the rack as well. I'll give you an additional discount, okay? So that way it's a better deal for you. Okay, let's move on. Next things. Okay, let's clean up another thing too. I had someone recently mention, says, yeah, but you were complaining about all these 20-something bikes. What we had, like 26 bikes. Says, but you get them all for free. We don't get them for free. Let me just say one more time. It's not a free thing. Okay, the e-bike companies send you the bikes so that you make a review of the bike and whatever else that they ask you to do, whatever they contract you to do, okay? These are contracts. These are not like they send it to you and, hey, do whatever you want to do. You've got a requirement of things you have to do, okay? And your videos have to show certain things and they have certain requirements. So there's time and effort and there's equipment cost, of course, to make the videos. So none of this stuff is for free. It's just like anybody else who does a service, okay? You can say, well, it doesn't cost him anything. He just give me the service for free. It doesn't happen that way, okay? Our e-bikes that are given to reviewers are in payment for the review, essentially. Now, that doesn't mean if they get a good review or whatever, we still be able to say what we want. Some of the companies actually ask you to say good things only. Well, that's not going to happen. We can say whatever we want. If they dictate how we say it or what we say, then we don't want to do the review. It's as simple as that. And you may say, well, Russ, all your reviews are always positive and good. Well, that's because I've handpicked which things I'm going to review. If I took everything that was offered to me, there would be some bad reviews, of course, because some products aren't that great. So I've kind of pre-selected which videos, which products to do for videos, so that it comes out with a positive review. I'd much rather give you a positive product to look at than to bring in junk and tell you it's junk. It doesn't help the company, doesn't help me, doesn't help anybody. So I much prefer just to pick, choose, and select, any way you want to call it, products that are worthwhile to review. That's why all the Russ is Right reviews for e-bikes are typically pretty positive. I mean, you could almost come out to the point where you can say, if Russ has reviewed that product, there's a reason he did it, okay? There's something about the product that stood out that made him want to review it, because I've mentioned before in the past, I've turned down, I think now, over 165, 170 companies, not bikes, companies. And as you know, many of the bikes that I do are multiple bikes from the same company. So think about, had I accepted all of these companies, how many bikes would I have actually reviewed by now? Yeah, I just don't take them. Yeah, if I don't trust it for whatever reason, maybe I've never heard of this brand before, or their batteries are iffy, whatever about it doesn't look right to me, I don't accept it. Yeah, I only accept the bikes that I think has some merit for some reason. Maybe something that they do is different than another bike, or maybe it's a well-known brand and everyone wants to know about this bike, then I will do that review. Yeah, but some brands that I've never heard of before, because there's a lot of e-bike companies, I will simply just say no. Yeah, sometimes I just don't even answer them. I feel bad about that, but I can't answer every single company, because literally on a daily basis, many companies come to me asking me to do something for them, and I can't take them all. So there you go. All right, so what other things are happening in e-biking today? I took a look at some other e-bike videos from other influencers. I love that name. And I said, is there anything there that was interesting? I noticed the trend, of course, and we've talked about this before, that there's been a lot of videos about rules and regulations and power and speed and all that stuff. Yeah, we're not going to do so much of that anymore. Everyone knows there's been rules and regulations, and it's just not a positive thing. Well, since we're on this whole negative thing, let's go one more. We'll call it a day for that. Now, as you know, I got the Hollywood racks from Rad Power Bikes, right? Because I had credits been given to me for the sales of e-bikes using my affiliate. It was not even an affiliate code. They never gave me an affiliate code. They gave me a code for being a purchaser of Rad Power Bikes in the past. My very first e-bike was a Rad Power Bike, Rad Rover 5. Okay, I paid for that bike. I don't know what it was, like $1,900 by the time I paid tax and shipping and all this other. I don't know that they don't charge shipping for the bikes, but by the time I paid tax and maybe some of the accessory things like the baskets and all that, I think it was close to like $1,900 I paid for it. So at that time they gave me a $50 code to give to anybody else who might want to get $50 off, and then they would give me a $50 credit for purchases of future Rad Power Bike product. Well, I mentioned before that I had gotten a number of bikes for myself and for my sister, and I still had leftover credit, which I was waiting to use, but then, of course, now all this stuff is happening, and Rad is now filed Chapter 11. I kind of felt that I better use this credit before I don't get anything. And I asked for another Rad bike, but they never sent it to me. So after a couple of weeks, I just said, okay, forget it. If you can't make a decision if you're going to send me a bike or not, how about if you cancel that order and send me a couple Hollywood racks instead? And they were willing to do that. So that's how I ended up with these Hollywood racks. And I also have those 2 burn helmets. If you want that too, check the russisright.com website. So I'll have that stuff up there eventually, okay? So anyway, Rad had filed Chapter 11, and I kind of knew the writing was on the wall. It was going to happen, so I wanted to get my credits finished with. And that's how I did it. I cleared it out with these racks. So essentially, Rad has not really been able to keep up. Yeah, they have a lot of debt apparently, and they can't continue. So they're trying to find a buyer for the company at this point. Now, people have asked me privately, what do you think happened to Rad? How did this all occur? I don't know for a fact how it all occurred. Everything that anyone would be telling you would be guesswork at this point. So then others said outright, well, what do you guess? What do you think happened to Rad? Okay, here's my own personal feeling on it, okay? Being a Rad Power Bikes owner, and I still have a Rad bike. I still have the Rad Radster Road Large in whatever blue color they call that blue. It's kind of like a sky blue color. I still have that one. Mrs. Wright basically can ride that one if she wants. And I have it available for sale for anyone who wants it. I don't know who would want it at this point because you don't know where the future of the company will be. But anyway, I do have that bike. But here's my feeling is for these past 4 years, because I'm going into my 5th year of e-bikes since getting my original Rad bike, I think Rad really didn't innovate as much as they should have. They didn't do things differently other than what they always had. They've always had like the Rad Runner. They had a Rad Mini, which we owned at one time. And they changed that to the, what do they call that? The Radster, Rad something. No, mine's is the Radster Road, I think. What is theirs? What's that called? I don't know, Rad Express or something like that, whatever it was called. They changed it to that, and it hadn't changed since from that point. And so things like the Rad Runners were really the same exact bikes. They just said, okay, here's an updated version or a version 2 of it, but the exact same bikes were still there. The Rad Rover that I bought, became from a 5, it became a 6. They still had a whole bunch of the 6s. They've been trying to get rid of these 6s forever. You can still see it for years. They can been, hey, we got a $1,000 option to buy this thing. But the thing is nobody wanted it. They had some issues with that particular, I think it was, I don't know if it was the battery or the motor or something. They had some type of issue with it. Nobody really wanted it. I talked to a repair guy before who did some repair stuff for Rad, and they said that they had a lot of issues dealing with that. And so nobody wants that one. So I said, well, when is the Rad Rover 7 coming out? I would have probably bought one of those instead. Nothing ever came out. So their top of the line bike was still basically the same Rad 6, I mean, they had the Radster Road and Radster Large, and I think the Radster whatever. I don't know what they call their other version of the thing, but they had a road bike version and then a trail bike version, right? But really, it wasn't that exciting, really. It has, I mean, it's capable. I actually don't mind the bike we have now because it's got 100 Newton meters of torque. It'll go over hills with no problems at all, okay? But they didn't do what some of the other bike companies were doing at the time, which of course, in a sense, they tried to stay within the law. Yeah, they were making 20 miles per hour bikes and 28 mile per hour bikes, class 2, class 3, class 1 ranges. And other bike companies were passing them. They were putting huge motors on there that was way past the 750 watts. And they were doing dual motor things out there, right? Bikes were doing 40, 50 miles an hour. Rad wasn't doing anything like that. So in a sense, I have to commend them for sticking to their guns to try to stay within the law. The problem, though, is so many people were interested in these other faster bikes that it just kind of blew them out of the water. Yeah. And the pricing of their bikes were still very expensive in comparison to some competitive bikes that you can get that can do all these other things. So I think you add that together with lack of innovation, in my opinion, lack of innovation and trying to stay within the law, I think it hurt them. Yeah. I mean, even for myself, I had asked them several times whether they would just give me an affiliate ability where I can help promote their bikes by getting reviews for their bikes, and they outright turned me down several times. So I don't understand why they do that, because really you kind of need the help of the YouTubers and other people to help promote you by doing the reviews, but they were very selective on who they would let review their bikes and all that. So simply, you're not going to get the penetration if you don't have people talking about your product, right? So I think in my mind, these are some factors that come to play. And so now people aren't going to be buying the product, and you're losing more market share. Now, at one time when I was looking at e-bikes initially to buy, I was looking at the Rad Rover 5 and also the Lectric XP, the original XP. And between the two, I said, well, the XP is a 20-inch wheel bike. I wanted a 26. And at that time, Lectric didn't have anything like that, so I ended up buying the Rad Power Bikes Rad Rover 5. And at that time, those were the hottest bikes. Yeah, they were the #1 company, and I think Lectric was probably at #2 range at that point for the United States. Now we see Lectric has taken over that. They're the #1 company, and Rad is now on bankruptcy. Now let's talk about some other things people might be thinking about. Will someone buy Rad? And some people said, well, maybe Lectric will buy it. Lectric is not going to buy it. I can't see Lectric buying this. The only way Lectric would buy it is if they wanted to compete with themselves, because really the two products were a kind of competition of each other. Now you may say, well, but Lectric had purchased another company. They purchased, who was it? Now I'm going to draw a blank. Juiced. Yeah, Juiced was going out, and then Lectric bought into that. But I believe, and I don't know for a fact, okay, I believe Lectric is planning to have a totally different type of bike out of Juiced versus just a Juiced brand that competes against Lectric. That wouldn't make any sense. Why would they do that? So if they purchase Rad, where would they position that, right? There's nowhere to position it. You have maybe Juiced will eventually be a more expensive type bike that has maybe higher performance things. But Lectric, is, to me, probably the best bike you can get for the money. Yeah, because they can really give you a lot for the money. That's the thing with Lectric. Even for myself, I'm keeping a couple of the Lectric bikes because those are bikes I actually like. I'm keeping the XP 2.0 and the Expedition 2.0, and I have the XP Trike still here. Well, we'll talk about Lectric in a second too, all right? So, so why would Lectric want to buy Rad? If they go under, do they need to, take the brand and get it out of all the problems? It's just not worth it. To me, I can't see them doing that. Watch them do it now. But to me, I can't see them doing that. Okay. So let's talk about Lectric. Okay. Some people have asked me recently, you made these decisions on which bikes you would keep. What about the Lectric One? Yeah, I really like the Lectric One. I really do. But just again, trying to clear products out so that I have less stuff in the house. Somebody recently asked, well, what does Mrs. Wright think with all the 26 bikes you had? Well, what do you think she thinks? We were eating up the entire living room and dining room of bikes, and even my office with bikes. 26 bikes is a lot of bikes. You can't stack a bike. It's got to go across, right? So it's eating up every space in the house. So the Lectric One was the same thing. I says, I have to move it on. As much as I like it, I have to move it on. It was a unique bike because it's got automatic transmission. It's small, it's lightweight, it's easy to grab. I've grabbed it so many times in e-bike rides last year, as you noticed. I would have kept it, but I had to make decisions on which bikes are going to go, which are going to keep. I said, I'm going to have to keep the ones that I probably would ride the most, and those are the bigger bikes, right? So that's why the Lectric One had to go away. What about the XP4? Well, with so many bike options for me to use, I'd rather grab one that was, a bigger, more expensive bike that had other features on there. So the XP4 went away as well. So little by little, even bikes that you like have to go. So yeah, I think keeping it down to 6 bikes, I said, and then any new bikes coming in to fill in that difference would be the way to go. And then when those bikes come in, you know, if it replaces one of the 6, that's great. If not, then those review bikes will go away after several rides. Yeah, then I'll put it up for sale. I just can't keep that many in the house anymore. It's just way too many, way too many bikes to keep. And I know the companies would like it if I would keep it and continue to ride them, but realistically, we can't do it. It's just too much. And I think other YouTubers eventually will find that out too. You know, if you get all these things in for review, you either, and I know some of them do, will rent a storage place to put it, but it's just storing it. It doesn't do anybody any good. I think unless you plan to re-ride those things over and over and over, it's best to move them on. So that's what I've decided to do. And some others I think have said the same thing too, where they said, we've got to start moving some of these things out. It's just a little too much. So anyways, that's really all I have for you guys for today. It's my take on the whole rad power bikes situation and what I thought, you know, would probably be factors that would be an issue for them. Now, like I said, I'm not saying that this is actually what happened. It's just my gut feeling as to what contributing factors might be, right? But I could be totally way off. But Russ is always right. I told you guys. So who knows? Nobody really knows for sure. All we really know is that they have filed for bankruptcy, and so the future of rad is up in the air at this point. Yeah, we won't know where they're headed, whether someone will buy it or whether they're just going to totally go under. You know, I guess there is a possibility if you go totally under, then somebody buys the name. I don't know. I don't know how these things work. But yeah, there's no more support at this point either. They're not doing anything. If you have a rad power bike, you're kind of on your own at this point. Others have said that, you know, rad has a lot of parts that you can get, you know, from other sources. Yeah, it's true. You know, they use Bafang motors and, you know, you got Shimano parts of this and that. I mean, it's not like you can't fix a rad bike. Okay, it's not that hard to do. What about the batteries? Well, you know, there's other options. Even if their battery were to go under, there's other options. You can wire in other things. So, but it would take some creativity. I mean, you're not going to get the same casing that, you know, that the batteries fit in. I've always thought that companies that could rebuild a e-bike battery for people would be helpful. For companies like Rad that goes under, you just take the batteries out of the case, you know, replace the batteries and put it back in the case and stick it back in. I think the problem though with that is always the liability, right? Because you want UL approval, you want all this type of stuff. If they open it up and put new batteries in there, that UL approval goes away at that point. So there's always that risk factor. But you know, can you use external batteries? I mean, at one time, I had taken the unit pack power batteries and replaced my Rad Rover 5 battery with the unit pack power battery. But as we know, unit pack power had issues too, and so they had a lot of recalls and everything with that. So, oh, you might wonder what happened to my Rad Rover 5. Well, I did sell it to someone, and I gave them the 2 unit pack power batteries that I had. But then when we were getting information from Amazon that they were telling us that they were going to give us back money if we just take the batteries and destroy them and get rid of them, I actually gave that money to the person who bought my bike. Yeah, I didn't keep that money. I told them this is an issue with the battery. They are telling you to get rid of the batteries, and they were going to give us money, and I was going to give them all the money. So what he did is he took that money and bought another bike from me. In fact, he bought 2 bikes from me. So he now that person has my original Rad Rover 5. He has my original magicycle cruiser, okay? And he has, I think he has one more other bike. Does he have a Moon Cool from me? Yeah, I think it was Moon Cool that he has from me, a cargo bike or something like that. Yeah, I think that's what he bought. He can correct it if it's wrong. But the point is that he bought additional bikes from me simply because he said, well, you know, he said, I never thought, having bought one bike, that you would give me back all this money for the thing. Essentially, it's like giving him the Rad bike for free. And he says, I'm going to take that money and buy more product from you. So yeah, everyone benefited from that. Yeah, yeah. He ended up with additional bikes at a discounted price, and he got $800 something back. That's craziness. Yeah. And then I was able to move 2 additional bikes to him, you know, because I have to sell them. It's just as simple as that. I eventually have to always sell these bikes off because there's just too many. Yeah. So, all right, that's all I got for you guys. There's a lot of stories today, but I wanted to at least let you know what my thoughts are on this whole rad power bikes thing, and then, you know, an update on the Hollywood racks and all that stuff. Hey, if you liked the video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. More videos to come. Talk to you guys next time.